In today's video, we're going to be ripping into the NECA Toys Retro Cloth Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface. Let's get some measurements going for Leatherface, retro cloth, Leatherface to be exact. The figure stands approximately 8.5 inches in height. Before we have a look at his accessories, let's have a look at the card that comes in the back of the packaging. I always like to show these off when it comes to retro cloth figures because I think NECA Toys does as equally cool of a job on the packaging as they do for the figures inside the packaging. So really loving the look here of Leatherface. There's the back of the package there, but I generally like to keep these in sheet protectors and keep them in a binder because the artwork is just that good. Okay, let's move those to the side. Let's move that to the side and have a look at his accessories. First things first, he comes with a mallet, or a small hammer, I suppose I should say. And it has a fair bit of detail added to the handle portion, making it look like it's relatively wood-like. Of course, you've got the mallet or hammer end of it, the main head, which has some very subtle drippings and splatterings of blood. I'm sure that has made its impact on something, someone's head, perhaps. And you can actually fit both of these accessories I'm about to talk about, or at least one half of them I've talked about, the other half I haven't, but you can fit that into his hand, just like so. This is an older figure, granted, so problems with holding accessories can be a little bit difficult. Granted, they haven't fixed it, it seems, with future or current retro cloth figures either. Also comes with a trusty chainsaw that has, again, some blood, much more generous in the blood department than that of the hammer. Only a little droppings and drips here of blood on the one side, but heavily splattered on the other side there. Paintwork on the chainsaw is actually quite nice, mixing a combination of yellows, blacks, and silvers. And again, you've got that blood all kind of drenched in there, some mud in there also caked all on the side of the chainsaw, making it look like it's been used. And that's the way I enjoy a chainsaw, equally used and dirty. Putting this in his hand can be somewhat frustrating, as anyone who's picked up a retro cloth Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface can tell you. It involves some dismantling of the chainsaw handles. Let's go ahead and take the mallet out of his hand for starters. I just want to touch base on this as something I've mentioned before. I don't know why the retro cloth figures have to be the only figures with fully closed fists. This makes, especially chainsaws, extremely difficult for them to hold properly. Sigh. But in order to get him to hold a chainsaw, like I said, you have to do a little bit of dismantling. You have to take this part off, and you have to also take off this part here. From there, it's just a matter of feeding it through, which, can be so frustrating. You have to feed it through his hand, and I always feel like you're gonna break it, as I just now said that. Oh boy, I hope I don't break it. But you feed it through, and you get it as far in as you possibly can get it. You do the exact same on this side. It's just such unnecessary. And we want to make sure it's actually facing the right way, because if not, it's going to do squats. Let's first place the handle portion of the chainsaw, slot it in, and then it tabs underneath like so. Now again, let's not drop it in the process. Hold on 1 second. The floor claims another accessory. Anyways, so we're going to move this up as far as we possibly can get it until you wrap it around the hand. And then as we started before, we were rudely interrupted by the floor claiming this. You can tab it into place, and he's got the chainsaw, one chainsaw, ta-da, in his hand. Then to do it on the other side, we have to figure out which way it actually has to go. And the answer is, let's see here. It goes like, I think it goes like this. Yeah, it goes like this. So then you have to feed this through. Certainly, there must have been an easier way. Oh yeah, there was. Not having the hands completely sculpted shut. Again, you just have to be very careful. Feed it through the hand. You get it as far over as you can. Then you can go ahead and attach it to the holes. Line it up. There we go. I suppose I could have just cut away, but I don't want to rob you guys in 2018. I want you to experience the frustration I'm experiencing so that you guys can see what you have to do when you get it attached. So there he is holding his chainsaw. Difficult, yes. They could have probably had the detachment point like right there, have these two parts separate, and these two basically take this part out and then detach it right in the middle here so you could just kind of clamp it around. Or like I said, you could just use the closed fists. Not use closed fists, I should say, and yeah, make things so much easier. Ugh, I don't even really want to take it out of his hands now because it's just so much of a pain in the butt. But for the greater good of this review, I'm going to feed this through. NECA, I love you guys, ladies, owls, but really seriously, this thing with chainsaws and retro cloth figures has to stop. Just stop the madness. Okay, so let's move that to the side. Let's have a look at Leatherface here from his original outing, TCM1. That would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1. Let's have a look at his face. His face isn't bad, actually. It's a little on the crude side because this is one of the earlier retro cloth figures, but actually does look pretty good. His face, well, you know, as mangled as Leatherface's face is, the teeth are sculpted nicely, as well as there's a fairly deep chasm there that is his mouth. The eyes are good, kind of bug-eyed, but that's kind of how he looks in the movie. The stitching is done nicely, as well as I get the vibe of leather. I get that this was somebody's face at one point. Luckily, it wasn't my face, but stitch work is, again, done really nice. The hair is sculpted nicely. You got some browns incorporated in there as well, so it's not just boring, yawn, dark colors. They've incorporated a little bit of the brown in there as well. I feel like his face is off, but I don't feel it's off. Doesn't make any sense at all. Like, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, something seems like it just doesn't jive here. Jive turkey. But then I'm looking at it again, I'm like, yeah, that's about what I would expect for a Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface. More importantly, from the one from the first movie. Having a look at the rest of his attire, he's got the striped shirt. He's got a rather outlandish looking tie, which I can only describe as, it looks like a bird wing. It's just kind of running across, or a very thin, skinny cloud. Skinny cloud tie. Has an apron, doused, heavily saturated here in blood. Dried blood from the looks of it. He's got a pair of jeans. Denim. I'm sure those are Levi's. Only Leatherface would wear Levi's. And then he's got a pair of cowboy boots. Now we can bring the pant leg up so you can see Magician has revealed his secret. The pant leg reveal means, or shows, that the cowboy boot doesn't go as far up as one would believe. It's pegged in a normal fashion. Still think that these could be ball joints. I think you really are eliminating some additional posability on these by only having them hinge. If you incorporated a ball joint, look out, brother. You can get some serious additional ankle pivot, ankle posability happening here. Sadly, that not be the case. He's got some blood all over his boots as well. You think he's going to shine those, clean those off? No way, man. No way. He's a good figure. I mean, unfortunately, one of the problems with this particular Leatherface is the fact that he is using a retrocloth body. By nature of the way that his sleeves are as high as they are, and he's wearing a short sleeve shirt, it does again reveal the hand of the magician, that he is wearing a very muscular body underneath all that. The hands don't quite jive because here you've got a more dirtier, veinier looking hand, and then it's attached to a very clean looking arm. You could roll down the sleeve and hide that. Oh, no, wait. No, you can't, because he has short sleeves. Pants are a little on the pristine side, a little too clean for my liking. Could have used a little bit of dirtiness. Otherwise, the figure looks pretty good if you can overlook the fact, and it's not even really just this figure, it's any figure really of Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface that uses an existing mold. Like even in the Sideshow Collectibles release of TCM1 Leatherface, look at me abbreviating stuff. We just abbreviated Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But they also have the same problem too. If you had one of the older figures, you can see a very thin, skinny arm because you can't really hide that. Posability time. Posability. Let's look through this. His head rotates all the way around. Technically, he has a ball joint. You really don't want to twist it any further than that because that would break his... I made that sound effect. If you were wondering it was the figure, no, it was me. Arms hinge outward, as well as forward and back. He's only got one singular hinge in the elbow, and then he's got a swivel and a hinge in the hand. Upper torso doesn't really have a whole lot going on, but if we move the figure just out of the way for a second, I want to show you the apron. Move that out of the way. You can see that they've got some extra batting in there to show you that they've filled him out a little bit. He's not one of the skinnier killers out there in the market, ladies and gentlemen. So if he was creating like a dating site, he would have to indicate he has a few extra pounds. I think that's what you have to put in the dating sites. You could also say fit, but I don't think anybody's seeing this guy in person on a date, which I might add, not recommended. Don't go on a blind date with Leatherface. But he would have to disclose he's got a few, quote, few extra pounds. Finally, his legs swing out, forward and back. He's got the bend at the knee. And as we discussed before, in lieu of the fact that he has no ball joint whatsoever, that's as much as you can get out of foot posability from poor Leatherface. You know, in all honesty, I actually thought I had already reviewed this figure, but then I went through my archive, my multi-thousand video archive. I think it's about 7,000 videos now. And I don't think I was able to find this guy. So sure enough, I went out, found him at my little comic book store, and that brings us to the end of this review. What a journey. This figure is, for all intents and purposes, a pretty good Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface if you like the retro cloth figures. If you don't like the retro cloth figures, whatever I said during the course of this video will mean squat to you. You'll still walk away and say, no, I think I'm going to stick with my plastic figures. Thank you very much. I don't really want to go near the retro cloth figures, but do give retro cloth a chance because they do have a certain level of personality to them. Speaking regarding the Leatherface here, I think despite the fact it's a slightly older figure, I still think it does a pretty good job of doing what it needs to do to be a proper Leatherface figure. It's got some really cool clothing, and of course they filled him out a little bit because he does have, quote, a few extra pounds. The chainsaw is still a nightmare, though, to get into his hands. It requires some dismantling of the said chainsaw to fit it properly into his hands. I'm even surprised I was able to get it, and in final looks here, I think I managed to get it held in his hand a little bit better than what I did over the course of this review. If not for the fact that Atari Leatherface, I know, he does look like he's moving. If not for the fact that Atari Leatherface sold as so dismally as it did, NECA could have very well have taken this figure in the same cues as NES Jason, and they could have redone the retro cloth Leatherface to give us Atari Leatherface. I chuckle aloud, because we know Leatherface in the Atari representation didn't sell all that well, so the chances of reusing this mold for that are probably slim to none. Yes, he is kind of moving back and forth. Today, though, nonetheless, we were looking at the NECA Toys Retro Cloth TCM. I abbreviated that. That was TCM Part 1 or TCM 1 Leatherface Retro Cloth figure. If you guys haven't had a chance yet to hit that little subscribe button down below, what exactly are you waiting for? A maniac to come chasing after you. Don't worry, he's got a few extra pounds. He probably won't run all that fast. But he does have a chainsaw. That can be pretty dangerous. Hit that little subscribe button down below. You'll never miss a beat when it comes to future videos. If you also want to go back and check out not only Leatherface reviews, but also my retro cloth figure reviews as well, I've got playlists designated for both. Say what? I do. I have playlists for both. If you also want to head over to my main page, check out some of the videos that I've just done recently. If there's a video that you haven't had a chance to watch yet, as that's probably the best means to catch a video that you maybe missed out on, check the home page and select the section where it says videos. Scroll down if there's a video that you haven't watched, sit down, relax, and enjoy. And let me know in that comments section of that video that you watched the video. I always like reading new comments in old videos in 2018. As always, guys, thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next time.